President Trump announcing an additional 10% tariff on Canadian goods after a TV ad from Ontario used audio of Ronald Reagan criticizing tariffs.
A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. Yeah, we don't need their lumber. We have more lumber than they do. We don't need Canada's lumber.
We'll make clear to the President that those interests are best served by cooperation and mutual respect, including of our sovereignty.
What if I told you that one interview, just one conversation on CBC, quietly changed the future of Canada forever, and most people didn't even realize it happened? This wasn't a fiery speech. There were no dramatic threats, no flags waving, no slogans. Yet what Mark Carney said in his year-end interview wasn't routine politics. It was a declaration, a signal, a strategic pivot that redraws Canada's place in the world. Sitting across from CBC's Rosemary Barton in December 2025, Prime Minister Mark Carney didn't sound defensive. He didn't sound cautious. And he certainly didn't sound like a leader managing decline. Instead, he spoke with the calm confidence of someone who knows exactly where power is shifting and how Canada plans to move with it. When Barton asked about his relationship with Donald Trump, Carney didn't sugarcoat the tension. He didn't pretend tariffs hadn't happened. He didn't apologize for standing firm. He simply said this: Trump respects strength. Being direct with him about what our objectives are and how we see it, that matters. That one sentence tells you everything.
You were elected, I think it's fair to say, in part to deal with Donald Trump. But since the election, you have dropped retaliatory tariffs, you've given up the digital services tax, and you apologized for an ad that the Premier of Ontario ran. So I guess Canadians might want to know whether we are any further ahead for doing or not doing any of those things.
Well, we are in a lot better position than we were 9 months ago. The challenge remains that the United States has fundamentally changed its trading relationships with everybody in the world, Canada included. But one of the points I made right from the start when I was running to be leader of the Liberal Party and then running in the general election is we need to control what we can control. We can't necessarily control Donald Trump, I think everyone's figured that out, or the United States of America. What we can control is what we build here at home. You look at the progress we've made, One Canadian Economy Act. Okay, we'll go into this, but it's important to underscore because this is what's going to make the big difference for Canadians.
I get that.
Sorry, may I finish? Which is, so we're made huge progress in terms of building here at home, massive progress on new trade deals and relationships abroad. All of that puts us in a stronger position as a country, more independent.
For decades, Canada approached the United States from a position of accommodation. We assumed our smaller economy meant fewer options. We negotiated softly. We asked for exemptions. We relied on goodwill. Carney just ended that era, without raising his voice. This wasn't bravado, it was strategy. Because here's the context most people miss. Donald Trump has mocked Canada as a 51st state. He imposed tariffs on aluminum and steel. He disrupted the North American trading relationship like no US president before him. And yet, after meeting Carney in October at the White House, Trump publicly called him a great man. That's not flattery, that's recognition. Trump respects leverage, not loyalty. And Carney isn't offering loyalty, he's offering alternatives. Canada, under Mark Carney, is no longer negotiating as a dependent partner. It's negotiating as a country prepared to walk away. And that's where everything changes. While most media focuses on the daily drama of tariff threats and tough talk, Carney is building something far more consequential behind the scenes. A diversified economic network designed to reduce Canada's reliance on any single power, including the United States. When Carney said, "We're going to work hard on the US," negotiation, but we can't let it crowd everything else out, he wasn't speaking diplomatically. He was declaring a doctrine. For generations, Canadian economic policy was built on one assumption: the United States is our destiny. Every trade deal, every supply chain, every strategic calculation flowed from that belief. Carney just declared that assumption obsolete. Instead, Canada is negotiating serious, long-term trade partnerships with India and the United Arab Emirates. Not symbolic agreements, not photo ops, structural economic relationships. India is on track to become one of the largest economies on Earth. The UAE is a gateway to Middle Eastern and African markets worth trillions. These aren't backups, they're alternatives. And the existence of alternatives changes the balance of power overnight. But Carney didn't stop there. In October 2025, on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea, Mark Carney met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two leaders agreed to resolve long-standing trade irritants and reset parts of the bilateral relationship. That headline alone made some people nervous. And Carney knew it would. So he immediately followed it with something just as important. He made it clear that Canada would not deepen ties with China in areas like artificial intelligence, critical minerals, or defense, sectors where national security is at stake. This is not naivety. It's precision. Canada will trade with China where it benefits Canadian workers and businesses. But control over strategic industries remains non-negotiable. That's not appeasement. That's discipline. While Washington demands that countries choose sides, Carney is demonstrating something far more dangerous to traditional power structures: independence. Canada is showing that a middle power can engage with both the United States and China without surrendering sovereignty to either. And make no mistake, other countries are watching closely. Every new tariff threat from Washington makes Carney's strategy more attractive globally. Every trade reset makes Canada more relevant. This isn't isolation, it's leadership through optionality. And while all of this is reshaping Canada's international position, something equally dramatic is happening at home. Mark Carney is one seat away from a majority government, and he's getting there without an election. Conservative MPs are crossing the floor. Michael Ma, Chris Dono, leaving Pierre Poilievre's party to join Carney's Liberals. The opposition calls it dirty politics, backroom deals, political theft. Carney's response was blunt. "I'm comfortable commanding the confidence of the House of Commons. That's how Parliament works." Translation? If MPs choose leadership over slogans, that's not corruption. That's judgment. When asked if his government is actively recruiting MPs from other parties, Carney didn't deny it. He reframed it. He spoke about a spectrum of MPs recognizing the seriousness of the moment and deciding how best to support the national agenda. This is classic Carney. No theatrics, no defensiveness, just quiet domination. If he secures a majority through defections, Carney gains something far more valuable than political optics: freedom. Freedom to govern. Freedom to execute.